Hi, I'm Toni Swinehart with MCP's Full Court Press, brought to you by Spectrum Health Ludington Hospital's Orthopedics. Today we are in the Mason County Eastern Library here at the school talking to Mr. Mark Forner, who is not only the principal, but he's also the varsity head coach of the boys basketball team. So thank you, Mark. We are revisiting you. We visited you before. So this time, though, I kind of want to talk about your season. I know that you have had a lot of players. You have a very small team, so let's talk about that first.
Sure. Well, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for your gracious invitation. I always love to talk about our kids in our school and especially my team.
Okay.
So we're just very grateful this year that we're having some semblance of a normal season where games are scheduled, games are played.
Yes.
We have a couple schools in our district or in our conference that require masks, and so our kids are masked up, but that not nearly the challenge as it was last year.
Yes.
And so we're just playing with a sense of gratitude that our kids, we're getting a season in, we're about halfway through, and we have 7 guys on the varsity, we have 6 on our JV, and I coach both teams, and so the theme this year is stay healthy.
Yes.
We can't afford to lose a kid to an ankle or sickness, let alone COVID. So we've been preaching to them. Get plenty of rest, drink plenty of fluids.
Yes.
Don't stay up too late. And so far so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with other schools, now the conference that you are in, or shall I say divisions, because they call them divisions now, right? What division are you in?
Well, we're considered Division 4, which is in the old days was Class D.
Okay.
We participate in the West Michigan D League with 10 schools, so there are 9 other schools. And so we'll play 18 conference games throughout our season.
Okay. And no, I'm sure a lot of those schools, because they are smaller schools as well, also have smaller teams.
They do. It's a struggle. We have 1 or 2 teams in the conference that aren't able to field a JV team, so they play a single. And that also happens on the girls' side as well. And so it's always a challenge, small school districts, to get kids to participate.
Right.
I think the COVID pandemic has made that tendency for kids to stay home even stronger, and so that's a constant battle for us. But we love the kids that we have out, and try to treat them right, make it fun. Sports has to be fun first in order for kids to participate, and so we try to keep it light and pleasant.
Right. And this year you also have a very good record. So let's talk about your record. And you said 18 conference games that you have.
We'll play a 20-game season. We've played 10 games so far. Our current record's 8-2 overall, and we sit at 7-1 in the conference. And so we're very pleased with that. We've got 3 seniors on our team. 2 of the seniors this is their 3rd year on the varsity. Eli Schaup. Wyatt Crawford, and we have a 3rd senior, Marcus Hamilton, who's got a bad ankle right now. He sprained his ankle. So typically we field 7 varsity players, but right now we only have 6 until we get Marcus healed up and back on the floor. Okay.
And I suppose that's hard. You can't foresee injury. Really, you know what I mean? So as far as your seniors, you said they've been all 3 years. So did they just have their freshman year on the JV then?
That's right, yeah. So this group were undefeated as freshmen at the JV, so we won the conference title when they were freshmen.
Okay.
And then Eli and Wyatt have played on the varsity since they were sophomores. And so behind those 2, we've been able to win a lot of basketball games at CUSTER. So we're very, very, very proud of that.
Yes. And do you have, I suppose, when you're coaching both JV and varsity, do you have the option, I know that in other schools, for instance, and I don't know if this is due to COVID, where you can have somebody play on both the JV and the varsity, but they can only play so many quarters. How does that work?
That's correct. So 2 years ago, the MHSAA came up with a rule to try to help particularly schools in our situation. We limited small enrollments to try to allow teams to field a full roster. So essentially what the MHSAA allows is whether it's a football player or a basketball player, to play 5 quarters
Okay.
For football, it's 5 quarters in a week.
Okay.
For basketball, it's 5 quarters in an evening. So
Okay.
it's up to the coach's discretion. If you have a JV player, if they play 4 quarters in the JV game, they can play 1 quarter in the varsity game. 3 and 2, so it's up to the coach to split that up in a way they choose, and so there are a number of schools in our conference that take advantage of that rule.
Right. Well, and with you being the coach of both, I bet it's pretty easy for you sometimes to be able to, give everybody a fair shot to play a certain amount of quarters with the JV and the varsity.
Yes. We had a situation the other day where we had, again, due to sickness, we only had 5 JV players and 6 varsity players. And so I used my timeouts judiciously in the JV game to try to give those poor kids a break. And actually, that was on Monday. And so we'll be back at full strength tonight, which is 6 players on the JV. And so that's a huge difference between 5 and 6 players.
It is. Because being able to rotate in that extra person, just enough so that to give somebody a break, and then have them come out and take a break. Mm-hmm. It is when you have, and even in the best of conditions, with the most, wonderful athletes that have really good endurance, shall I say,
right.
It's still tough to play an entire game without a break.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So one of the reasons we're having some success this year is that we're blessed we have 3 players on the varsity. Eli Schaup, Wyatt Crawford, and Eli's brother, Clay Schaup, we're all really good basketball players. Good shooters, good scorers. Those 3 are capable of scoring 20 points any given night. Eli led the conference in rebounding last year. He's going to lead it again this year. He averages over 20 points a game. But the difference for us is the other 3 players on our team, Zach Howe, Marcus Hamilton, Nate Wing, and James Drake are all really good athletes.
Yes.
Okay? And so we're raising their skill level, but they're all really good athletes. So at a school our size, you're fortunate if you have one good competitive basketball player who can score.
Right.
We happen to have 3,
right.
And so that's a blessing that, as a coach, trust me, I don't take for granted.
Yes.
Because it's nice. If someone's having an off night, the other 2 guys tend to step up. And so that's been a real luxury for us.
Yes. So going into tournament season, which is coming up, you said you're about halfway through.
Yes.
So in the beginning of March, around that time, you will be. What are your thoughts about going into the tournament season? What are you thinking?
Sure. Well, that's an excellent question. We preach to our kids, take them one game at a time. Excuse me. We're preparing for tonight's game. But the reality is that you have to prepare for the tournament as well. And so this year, the strongest team in our conference is MCE, and they're undefeated, state ranked. And so that was our only conference loss in the first half of the season. So we'll face them at home again in 2 weeks, and we're very much looking forward to that game and try to get some revenge or some with them.
Right.
But at the same time, at the end of the regular season, our district will be played up at McBain Northern Michigan Christian.
Okay.
Hosted by McBain Northern Michigan Christian, and their boys team happens to be ranked 3rd.
Oh wow!
In class 4. So we say to our kids, hey, we want to, in order to get better, we want to play the best.
Yes.
And so if we're fortunate enough to get to the finals, that we would have to face Northern Michigan Christian. So we've been doing some scouting and getting prepared for that. Last year, because of the COVID delays and all the kind of the chaos around scheduling, we purposefully scheduled what we refer to as scheduled up, really competitive teams. We played Manton, Frankfurt, Northern Michigan Christian, Traverse City Christian. And so from a one-loss standpoint last year, it wasn't our strongest year, but we think that sowed the seeds for our success this year because we really played some top competition. Our kids got used to playing at a high level, and that's paid dividends this year.
And I strongly believe in that. I strongly believe in order to continue to get better, you have to be playing better teams.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I know it's a little distressing to the kids because they're like, oh gosh, are we ever going to beat a team like this? But at the same time, I don't think they realize that it does make them better.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? To play those higher skilled teams and to play, and you said, to be the best, you have to play the best in a way.
We talk about that all the time. The kids get better because they played against their big brother. Or the bigger kids in the neighborhood. Well, we played against the bigger kids in the neighborhood last year in the form of very competitive basketball teams. So we see that actually in reality on our basketball team. Clay Schaup is a sophomore, a 10th grader, and that poor kid has to battle with his brother in the driveway, who's a senior and a very good basketball player. And so that's made Clay a much better player because he's had to face his brother in practice and in the driveway at home every single day.
Right. And I love that. I love that they're siblings. I love that they can make each other better in a way. So, well, I appreciate you taking the time out. Good luck for the rest of your season. And especially, we're kind of, focusing on seniors and making sure people know what it means to them. And especially with having what you deem kind of like a normal season almost, where we haven't had so many hiccups, I guess you should say. But yes, taking time out of your day this morning, I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
And for more news, go to MasonCountyPress.com.